Welcome to Chaotic Harmony. My name is John.
This is Crystal.
I'm Mark.
I'm Zoe.
We talk about the joys and the challenges of teaching music in the elementary school classroom. We share inspiration, we share struggles, we brainstorm solutions. We would love to have you join us.
Welcome, everyone. We are here to record another episode of Chaotic Harmony.
We are.
Yeah! And today we want to talk a little bit about the emotional cycle. Is that it?
Yes.
Yep. Nailed it.
Emotional cycle of planning a concert. I did it, guys.
You
It's a
did
real
it.
thing.
Good job,
It's
Zoe.
a real thing.
It is a real
It is.
thing. And right now it is January 2020 and we are on our winter break enjoying, but this is all still very real. We all did concerts and
We are in recovery.
we are in
from
recovery
concert season.
And
Yeah.
so it's something that every music teacher goes through, and it is a cycle, and there is a beginning, middle, and end to it. So we just wanted to kind of talk through it with each other, and yeah.
We might go over this in a bit, but even though it's a cycle, it conflates upon itself with the next cycle. So right now, even though I'm in the recovery mode, my mind is already planning for the next concert.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Absolutely.
It has to.
two cycles just like jumping on top of each other. It's a hot mess.
We have a big event in March. Like, that's our... I'm not talking about the collaborative concert. Like, I'm talking about, like, my school does.
You have a big thing,
Like,
yeah.
it's going to be our spring exhibition. And so I'm like, oh, let's go to the concert.
I know. I have a big one in February. And so it's like, why did I do that to myself?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
At least went to March. Give me a little more time.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Yeah. And it's the same story every time.
Yep.
I mean, every time. But even when you know that,
Right.
it's still painful to go through at certain points. So do we want to start by reading what we've decided the emotional cycle of planning a concert is?
Yeah, because we talked beforehand about
did.
what is this?
What
and
are the steps?
I like what we got.
I think it's pretty accurate.
I do too. Okay.
Do you want to read it, Crystal?
I can
Do you want
read
to
it.
Go for it.
Okay, and then we can post this. Do you want to pass it around?
Let's pass around so each person has a chance to share.
That's fun. All right, the emotional cycle of planning a concert as written by the Chaotic Harmony podcast crew. This'll be great. Bach cantatas all around.
I hate this. They hate this. Why?
Next step. Hey, we can do this.
We will never pull this off.
And then at that point, our VAPA coordinator, Lauren Shelton, emails all of us and says, hey, I have board members who want to come to winter concerts. Please send me your concert dates and times. And all of us respond by going, we will never pull this off. Please don't come to my concert. No, you can't bring the district superintendent or any directors to my concert.
Is day drinking okay?
Wait. How is there only 2 classes left before the concert?
Dress rehearsals are canceled or tank.
You can never have a dress rehearsal that goes well.
Right.
They don't
Why?
exist.
They don't exist. Oh, maybe I should quit and work at Starbucks.
Oh, hey. Oh, wait. Where's my catheter? I gotta pee.
And afterwards, oh hey, we pulled it off.
And then
Going back
it starts
to-
all over
yes,
again.
and now we're back
Yeah. It'll be great. We can pull off a Bach cantata.
Have any of you guys ever tried Bach cantata?
I actually did back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah, nobody cared. We worked really hard on it, and the audience reception of it was so lukewarm that I'm like, I'm never busting myself that hard again. It was back in my middle school days, though.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounded fine, but let me tell you what, Feliz Navidad brought down the house.
as it normally does.
I mean, so why do we hurt
I've
ourselves?
learned that that's my closer for our winter performance.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
a sing along that we this year our 6th graders played on like they played the ukulele. We
Nice,
played the
nice.
track and everyone just sang. And as they were singing, we like went through the whole song once, and then as it starts to repeat, we started dismissing kids to be dismissed from their classrooms.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it was like I'm not gonna try and actually have like a final song and then leave because Feliz Navidad kills.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was a suggested topic to discuss from a very good friend of ours. And I think that I mean, if you just look on any of the Facebook groups for elementary music educators around the winter season, you will see this cycle manifesting itself, and then the unwanted criticism butting in from all the colleagues and the administrators who don't respect the auditorium schedule on which you have blocked things out so that you can rehearse on the stage. And it is just full of frustration. So how did we feel about this year, guys?
We did it.
We did it. We got through it. I know.
That's how I feel about it.
I had a plan way ahead. That's in doing so, it really relieved a lot of stress. I had my choirs go on stage more than usual to practice walking on, walking off stage. So the dress rehearsal is really very much, we're going to work with the accompanist finally. And we're going to do a little bit of walking on and off stage, but this is your time to actually hear how it sounds like with a pianist playing the piano part.
Making the stage feel like home.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not not just foreign, because I've done the mistake of having the dress rehearsal be the only time or one of the few times they actually practice on stage.
Yeah.
So now it's time for, one thing I've really tried to work on this year is dig deeper, not wider. So really
I like that.
Really have the students like just own the space as opposed to like last minute frantic.
Yeah.
I think also something else I forgot to mention there. During the day of the concert where all the kids are asking me questions, like, I am on focus mode. Get out of my face.
Or they come up to you, when is the concert?
Right. What do we have to wear? I know you said wear black pants, but can I wear jeans? Or my Tia wants to know if I can save the seat in the front row. Is that okay? It's like noon. Or the parents want to come up and have a parent-teacher conference right then, right there. Yeah.
Or you request to use the stage, and all the stages have been taken.
That's right.
You need to be creative.
Oh, that was.
I do it. Yeah. How did it turn out, Mark?
So it actually turned out fine.
Hang on. What are we talking about? Back up for those who don't know.
We're talking about my winter
risers.
performance. And so I had requested in early December the use of choir risers from our district. And typically they have them available. And so I sent my secretary the dates. And she sends me an email a little bit later. I don't know if same day, but like, hey, all the choir risers are reserved. And I was like, whoa, okay, I'll have to figure out another solution. So a couple days went by and I was thinking about it. And so I'm like, well, let's just get a stage. We'll put the stage on the stage. And if the stage has different levels, we can make that work. And so we get the stage and it's huge. There are 3 pieces. There are 4 pieces, actually. We didn't use all 4, but there are 3 and they're heavy. It's basically just lifting straight. Like, it's super heavy. So I get them on stage. And I'm like, okay, they can be on 2 different levels. And so I tried it out. Mind you, I'm doing this by myself. And I get the tall stage up and I stand on it and it's just so wobbly. I'm just like, this is not going to work with kids on it. And so I'm like, okay, well, so I bring it down and I'm like, okay, well, can I make this other stage shorter? And so it's like maybe 5 inches to work with. And I'm like, that's not going to work. So what we ended up doing is we put 3 of the portable stages on, kind of like in a, one on the left side, one in the middle, one on the right, kind of facing the middle like you would with a choir riser. And then our YMCA stretch program had done Aladdin, and so they had some pallets that were fully covered. They didn't have the slots, and so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to put those in front of the stages so there's not that big of a gap. And then I had some step stools that I had kids stand on. So I went and got some black some black sheets, put it over the pallets to make them look a little nicer. We had some skirts on the stages, so like it looked a little nicer. And it worked. Like we were able to fit all the kids on the stage and everyone was able to be seen. And going back to dress rehearsal, when I do my winter performance, it's the whole grade level. And when you have like 66 graders on the stage, it gets really cramped. But like I know I'm not going to have all 60 kids there for the performance. And so trying to figure out, well, who's supposed to stand where? It's like, well, I have this plan, but if 10 kids don't show up and they all stand on the same spot, like we have to adjust.
Right.
So it's working with that too. But it worked out. But I was able to have a conversation with my principal, and we're going to be looking into purchasing our own stage.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I have
basics.
I'm very happy that it worked out, Mark.
Yeah.
And definitely your creativity.
Where were the choir risers, Zoe?
They were at my school.
But I'm sure we have more than one.
No, you do have more than one. We do have more than one.
Yeah, I felt very bad
But
about that.
That was just funny when that popped up on Facebook.
I'm glad you got use out of that.
Yeah, we used them. So what about this? Because, like, I'm just trying to think through the last few months of all that went into this cycle, and it's really hard to kind of condense it down. So what if, like, we each try and, like, either say a high point, kind of like what you had said about, like, going deeper, or, like, what you learned, a high point or a low point? Can we do that?
Sure,
maybe?
yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
happy to go first. So a high point for me was, mixed in with the low. I think that's kind of how it works out when you feel like things could be going south, but then there's kind of that silver lining. So the day that I had my grade level performances was a Saturday, and it turned out to be the Saturday before all of our sixth graders went to camp. And so they were like, I can't come. Like, my family, we have other things planned this weekend. Like, yeah, I won't be there. And so the week before, I was like, okay, so who's going to be there for sure? And it turned out being 7 kids.
Oh my gosh.
7 sixth graders. And true to form, only, I think, 6 or 7 showed up.
Oh, wow.
But we had prepared, and they're such a creative group of kids. So I was pretty bummed that not very many could make it, because they've been, they're just so creative. They're very musical. And we had gone through a few of the pieces that Drew had arranged for the volcano dance and the Great Wave. That was the book. So a couple of, there were only 6 of them. They took on other roles. So each of them played multiple instruments. Were on, like, doing drums, or, like, had some scarves, or were narrating. So they all did multiple things, and it was really cool. They all owned it. So.
They stepped up.
They did.
That's really cool.
High points, low points. I guess. I shared the things that I learned. Like, I definitely have to be more prepared logistically. Let's see here. I think adapting to the situation was another thing I had to learn. My concert band sounded the best they've ever sounded, but that was because we had to adapt. I wrote a piece for them to play a rendition of Ding Dong Merrily on High, and it was tough. It was like people were playing different parts, multi-measure rests. Like, they just sounded good, but I erroneously wrote the clarinet part over the break. And yeah, they 2 clarinets hit it, but it was just landing on it 100%. It wasn't always. So I decided, I'm just gonna.
Who are you?
I'm John Seligman. I decided to pull out my flute, and I played with them on that portion. So that way, like, they sound a little more full. So adapting, even though it's not what I wanted them to play on their own.
Right.
I also tried contacting some of the middle school, high schoolers to play with the band. If I did it enough time, that would have they would have come, and that would have also been a great way to bond the 2 different districts and also have the piece performed. So yeah, adapting on the fly was something I had to learn this year.
It was also really cool seeing you play flute. At that moment, your coworker and I turned to each other and were like, what? He plays flute? Which I should have known. You've told me this before.
Yeah.
But it was just like so cool
Not
to see
news.
you play with your students. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My high was we had the highest parents participation for our upper grade performance. So we have no problem. We have a small auditorium, and so we do 2 separate nights. The first night is K through today. This last year we did TK, which is our transitional kindergarten, which is like a pre-K. We did that through 2nd grade, and we normally have no problem filling the auditorium. So we probably had about 230 parents there for that performance. And then typically there's a fairly large drop off for our upper grade performance, which is 3 to 6. And in years past, we've had, so if it was like 220, we've maybe had 150. So it's quite a big difference. But this year we had close to 200 parents there for the upper grade performance. And we've had the most 6th graders perform than we've ever had in the 5 years I've been there. So that was just really cool. Like, it was really encouraging to see that it's starting to take shape and people are starting to be excited about it. And so that was great. And then another highlight was just our partnership with PTO and the ladies. They helped a bunch with stage design, and I had a colleague. She kind of spearheaded that, and I said, I don't care what the stage looks like. Just to be honest, I don't. I'm more focused on the music and more focused on trying to make sure that kids aren't up there picking their nose. And so they spearheaded that, and they did an amazing job, which was really fun. I think a low point for me was we did more like just, I guess, karaoke tracks. And so we had the accompaniment track and had kids sing songs. And it wasn't super Orphy. So for me, that was kind of a loss because I wanted it to, and I had planned a bunch of stuff to be super Orphy. But in the time that I had allotted myself, the kids just weren't having it. They just weren't having fun with it. And so I had to go back and kind of revisit. I'm like, all right, what can I do so the kids have fun, so this is an enjoyable experience for them, and not necessarily feed my ego with being a great Orff performance. So that was a learning and kind of a loss. Low point for me was just that realization that we're not quite there yet, and I'm not quite there yet as leading them to where I want them to be. So I have to reevaluate how I present and how I teach them. So in March, hopefully, we'll be able to do more Orphy stuff.
Yeah, it's a building process, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know this, but I'm so frustrated at the performance space in my school. I just have this tiny room with a tiny stage. You can barely fit one grade level on if we actually use the stage space, or if we use the stairs, we can, I can get a whole grade level on, but I can only put one grade level's worth of parents in the auditorium at a time. So last year, I was just really kind of beaten down by the restrictions that we face. I had the Orff instruments on the floor in front of the stage, but then the parents complained that they couldn't see their kids, and rightfully so. And there wasn't enough room for movement on the stage. So this year, the teachers just mostly took over the winter performance, and I've been doing informances in my room. So that's what we decided to do for winter. And then the parents would go watch their kids do their Christmas thing that their teachers had prepared on the stage, and then we would go, then to get them out of the auditorium, they had to come to my room to pick their kids up. So it was nice because we have the Save the Music strings, but we only have one class set. So they're shared between 6 different classes. So I could cycle everybody through the orchestra room, and they could all play their string instruments for their parents and then pack them up and put them in the assigned cubby. So that made sharing them with everybody a little bit more streamlined. And then they felt so at home in the general music room that when it came time to sing and do the drum stuff that we'd worked on, they were phenomenal. But at the same time, we had dozens of parents in there packed like sardines. And oh my gosh, the temperature in the room just like skyrocketed. It was so many bodies in there. I wish I'd had time to take a picture. And so like there was that, but also it just completely broke down the barriers, and they had access to me, the parents did, in a way that they never have before. So instead of me just being the person in the way of them trying to lean into the aisle and taking a picture of their kid on the stage, they talked to me face to face, and I was able to look at them and say, as you can see, the performance space is not adequate at this school at all. If that's something that's important to you, I think that you deserve to see your kids, and I think that they deserve a stage to be on. Say something. Your voice is important, and so speak up if the arts is something that you want to help encourage. So that was a high point. It's like both my greatest frustration also became like the best part of it, and it was the way we ended up doing it was just very community building, and I really appreciated it. It was cool. So, but gosh, it's got to change. I've got to figure out a solution to it. What we've decided to do is instead of me doing 2 big concerts, I'm doing monthly concerts during the school day. So then I'm not worried about my parents who often work multiple shift jobs, having to come in after school hours. And I'm not worried about my kids not showing up, because that was a big problem for me too, is like hardly getting anybody to come back to school for an evening or a weekend concert. So we do it first thing in the morning. So 8 o'clock on a school day, and it's a half an hour. So the parents can often request, we tell them months in advance, so they can just like ask to go into work a little late or plan for it. And we've had really good attendance so far at those. And we're doing arts integration, so I'm able to plaster the walls with our arts integration projects. My art teacher puts up what she's been doing as a decoration, and we fit so much better in the space. Every single child is there. It's been a good solution for us to do during the school day performances. So it's taken a lot of the stress off too.
Sure.
we're at 4 different schools.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it sounds like we all did kind of a different format,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
so interesting. And I think it goes back to Lauren a little bit, how she hasn't had like, this is what you must do. I mean, sure, she has definitely encouraged us all to do something in the wintertime, and she's given us some tips and tools on how to achieve that, but also giving us the freedom to create what works for our school. So I'm wondering if each of us could maybe share kind of like what did you start with when you were trying to imagine how you wanted your winter concert, or like a concert that you did recently?
This year, or like our first time?
Oh, interesting. Well, we could say either. Do we want to start with what our first time? I don't even know if I can.
I think
Oh, my
backwards planning is key, no matter what you
Yes.
do. Like, what do you want your end result to be? And if you don't have a clear picture of that in your head, you're going to be real stressed out.
Right, right.
So back in the day when I was at my first job at a Catholic school, they expected a huge winter. It was a Christmas show, like a nativity. And I did a full musical theater production. And so I would buy, the whole package, and I'd send parts home, and I would send rehearsal scripts home, and rehearsal DVDs and CDs and choreography. And we started in August. And that was the only way to do it, So that's what it took to fulfill their expectations. So I think just having that conversation with your admin, like, what do they expect?
Right.
And then educating them on, like, we can do that, but this is what it's going to take is really important. So I try to think, like, I want to tell a story and I want the parents to be entertained. I've learned that if your concert's longer than an hour, they will hate you.
Yes.
Nobody wants to sit through more than an hour. And the only thing they really care about is seeing their kids happy on stage. All the better if you can show off that they've actually learned something really valuable.
If you don't mind me jumping on that, sorry, Mark.
Please.
Get at it.
Cool. So I was probably like a week before the concert. May I see the little cycle we do?
our cycle. Where in the cycle were
Where
you?
was I? I was on... It was bad.
Were you ready to go work at Starbucks?
Were you looking at your resume and thinking, how can I update this?
I was on the wait. There's only 2 classes left to go concert, and not dress rehearsals, but there were key rehearsals that were tanking really bad. Like kids were not bringing their instruments to the second to last practice. Like really, guys. I was rough. I was so frustrated. And I decided to go to one of my students. She plays clarinet. She was the one who actually nailed over the break. But she was performing in an adaptation of The Nutcracker, because she does ballet. And so I decided to support her and went to watch it. And I was watching, and I was like, this is really good. Mistakes were made. In fact, mistakes, like, the audience laughed in a very warm and charming manner. And it allowed me to give myself grace to the fact that, no, it doesn't need to be a Bach cantata. It's fine.
Right.
It's okay if it's not great. There's going to be mistakes. And in fact, there's a duet going on, and one of the kids, after he was done singing his duet, he bumped into our condenser mic, and it was, oh my gosh, but it was funny in a charming way. And it's like, you know what, mistakes gonna happen. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, and I also want to point out, John, that because you said that you wanted to go deep, not wide,
Yes.
this year, and I totally saw that, because you had 2 choirs, right?
3 choirs.
3
I had
choirs.
my lower grade, my upper grade, and also my advanced choir.
Okay. So you had the 3 choirs. You had your band.
Correct.
And you had some smaller groups and solos.
Yes.
And so that really struck me. I was like, wow, you have really like put in time and focus and energy into like these groups, and they were really able to shine. And I did the opposite. So, and it was my first time doing this at the school, but in the last couple of years, I would just hear like teachers or parents, and they, like, what I kept hearing was like, we want to see what everyone is doing. Like the teachers were like, we want you to be more visible. We want to see what like our whole school is doing. So for me, I didn't feel like I did like a lot of like depth, you know. It was like I had intended to do rounds and, you know, like start getting to 2-part stuff with some of my grade levels, but it just didn't happen. So we sang in unison, and that was where we were at. And a lot of echoing. I'd never imagined that I would do songs in echo, but that's where they were at. Like they just did not have the words, they didn't have the melody. So I was like, okay, we're doing it. And it was, you know, it was a great first step, I think, for our school.
And I liked it a lot because when I watched your show, it was I wanted to adapt that because I even though I did deep, I still missed the light aspect. I'm trying to find ways to incorporate that for next time somehow. I'm not sure yet, but I like it though. Yeah.
I forgot the question.
Yeah, I do read the question
so sorry.
entirely.
Well, I mean, I was just trying to, because we all do, we all approach it kind of from a different way.
Format.
So, like, what was your starting point for planning your concert?
Yeah, so my starting point was every kid needs to perform. And so, well, every kid that shows up.
Yeah.
And so that's just what we've done the past 5 years. And I've inherited that format from what was done before I was there. And I'm fine with it. I think it's good. I have kids who aren't necessarily involved in my music groups, but who still showed up. I'm like, you showed up? Like, you know, especially I have some 6th grade boys who had just, if you asked me like, do you think that this person's going to show up? I'll probably be like, no, I doubt that they will. But they were there and they were dressed sharply and like they were excited. And so for me, it's an opportunity for all of my kids to be on stage and to get to perform. And I had one little boy, I don't remember who it was, but I just remember hearing, I like it up here on the stage, you know, and just it's their opportunity to shine. It's their opportunity for people to watch them and just to do that. And so I am fortunate that I have an arts leadership team, and so I was able to bounce things off of them. Ultimately, a lot of it falls on my shoulders, just because I'm the arts teacher, like I'm the music teacher, I'm the arts specialist at my school, and not every single moment of my teaching day is filled with students, and so I have a little bit more time to work on those miscellaneous projects. So like all the graphic design work and everything, all the flyers and everything, like I create and I send out, and just trying to pick a theme that wasn't necessarily super Christmas heavy. And so I think for me, like that was for this year, just I was just trying to be self-conscious about that and just making sure like it's not just about Christmas. So the kids sing a song about holiday lights. They sing a song about like where'd the snowman go? It turns out he melted.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. And I found some stuff that I just thought was cute and was rather just winter generic. And so our theme this year was cold nights, warm hearts, and hot chocolate. And
that's
so
really sweet.
yeah, so that was our theme.
like
And
it.
like so we had a couple songs about hot chocolate. The kids they did a chant, and then we had some body percussion and then some drumming to go along with that. And so just to try to pick a generic theme, winter-esque theme, and then make sure that it's available and able for everyone. I did forget this, but as I'm talking about it, I was reminded. I always invite our SDC students to participate with their grade level, and with our SDC teachers, I've worked it out where with them, like getting their input, they're like, I would prefer not to do something specific in my class, just because for my kids to get up there, like it's more challenging. But if they are able to get up there with like their grade level, like I would prefer that. And so I was like, great. And so the night of the concert, I had one little girl in 3rd grade. She showed up. And during their push-in time, it's not during our VAPA time. And so when I teach her, it's in her class, in her SDC class. But she showed up with her 3rd grade team, and she had no idea like what we were doing. But she got in front of the stage, and that particular grade was they were playing Bourdain on xylophones. She ended up on a xylophone, and I just walked up there and like, all right, honey, these are the notes.
Yes.
And she hit notes, and some of them were right, and some of them were not. But she was just so excited to be up on stage. And then during the song portion, she didn't know the song. She just kind of looked around and just kind of like, just kind of hummed along. But it was just a reminder for me. Like, I think first year teacher Mark would have had just a huge panic attack. of like, oh my gosh, she doesn't know what she's doing. Like, make sure she's not on a xylophone. Like, and she's just standing up there and just like being there. But like, she just didn't have a bunch of fun. And so just that accessibility, I think for me with the winter performance, is the biggest factor.
Mark, you shared a story on Marco Polo about your first graders that warmed my heart so much, and I think I've told the story to so many people about the little girl who showed up late. Can you talk? Can you talk about that?
I told teachers and parents and stuff, like, our performance began at 6. And so I had made a 5:30, be here at 5:30 and we'll be ready. And so something I did this year, that was the first time, was I didn't have all the students in the auditorium at first. So the students were in their classrooms, and then it was their time to perform. They came to the auditorium, and then after they performed, they went down and watched the remaining classes. I partially did that because it just gets so loud sometimes with the kids.
Yeah.
And especially with our upper graders, they just get really they see their friends, they get goofy. It's after school, it's late, it's whatever. And so my first graders, I had them come up on stage, and we started singing our first song. And I look over to my left, and I see this mom and her first grade daughter, she's dressed in this super cute little outfit, looks like a little ballerina. And she's telling me, like, go on stage. And the little girl's shaking her head, no, I don't want to, like, because she's late and we've already started. So I stopped. I got on the microphone, and I was just like, you know what? I'd like to invite her on stage. Like, no one deserves to miss their first grade concert, And so she ran up on stage and got there. She was all settled down and got her right in front. And it's like, all right, you ready? I looked at her, you ready? And so we were able to start again. And so she was able to join us and participate in that. And again, first year teacher Mark probably wouldn't have done that, because I probably would have been like, oh, you're late, But where I'm at now, it's just about that accessibility and about making sure everyone gets to play. So,
It's just, So talk about keeping it to what matters.
Yeah.
And what matters here,
Yeah.
The right notes don't matter.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Like, stories like that are why I just love you guys so much, and why I'm so glad we found each other. And like why we get to do this thing and just like be the example. Yeah. I love it. So it was really healthy for me this year to be a mom with elementary school age kids who were going through their own Christmas pageant as I was going through the concert cycle. Because at the same time as we're getting on our social media and giving like behind the scenes confessionals to each other about how stressed out we were, my kids had their Christmas pageant a little bit early. They sing with the children's choir, and so they did the story of Silent Night, where the organ breaks down, and then the pastor wrote the hymn for Silent Night, and it was set in Austria. It was gosh, it was so stinking cute. And Parker was the organ repairman, and he and the church organist had this whole bit about like, oh, the organ's broken. Well, Parker's like, maybe I should hammer it. No, don't use the hammer. It was really cute. And wrong notes were sung, and kids missed their cues, and my kids missed their cues, and my kid like didn't sing one of the verses he was supposed to sing and mixed up some words and totally sang like half of a verse off key in a solo. And it was like, it didn't matter, because they were on stage and they were happy and they looked adorable in their little outfits, and it was Christmassy, and it was precious. Sure. And we forget how much the cute factor really matters, I think. Like, it's worth a lot.
Oh gosh,
Especially with our kids. So having that about 3 weeks before all the concerts that I was, that I had my finger in, go just really helped me calm down and take a deep breath and be like, all right, back to what actually matters here.
Sure.
So Mark, when you're talking about like first year teacher Mark, I was reminded of first year teacher Zoe. And actually, and I still feel like that same person, especially during concert season, because it feels like
it's survival mode.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it, you just do what I do. Yeah. Don't ask questions.
Yeah. And I just I woke up in, it was right after our fall break. So wait, when would that have been? Around like Thanksgiving time. And I woke up in the middle of the night thinking, I can't do this alone. And I couldn't go back to sleep. I was like, I just can't do it alone. And I told you guys about that, and I went to work and I mentioned that to one of my coworkers, and And he said, you're not alone. You just need to ask for help.
Oh,
And so I did. I sent out many flares. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, no one's getting back to me. But then when I started going to classroom aides, they're like, yeah, I'll be there for you. And then just those yeses that started coming back to me, I totally filled me back up. And on the day of the performance, I had like 4 or 5 first grade parents that had volunteered to chaperone. But they all got, I think when everyone arrived, because there were so many first graders that arrived, the parents were like, what are we supposed to do with all these kids? They're not teachers. They're
Right.
yeah.
And so I found one of the first grade teachers that was there that was volunteering with the PTA. And I was like, can you please help me? And she's like, of course. And so she went over there. They had about 10 minutes before they had to go on stage. She got out her phone and was singing with them.
Nice.
And I couldn't believe it. Like that, in fact, I am part of a community and that just asking for help. And it does feel like vulnerable. It's like, oh my gosh, they're going to think like, oh, she didn't do her job well. Like she didn't prepare well enough to have this already figured out. But in the end, like, actually, no one said that to me. No one said those things to me. It was all just like up here going through those scenarios. So first year teacher Zoe can like calm down, can bring back the fifth year teacher.
I'm so glad that no one said that to you, Zoe. I have had those things said to me and it's devastating because when you care so deeply and parent involvement is not part of my community. It's very, very difficult, I think, when parents and families are just already maxed out with just survival.
Yeah.
So I really struggled last year to pull winter concerts off the ground and just kind of decided like I'm never doing this to myself again to the degree that I'm trying to pull this off. I asked for volunteers with every single permission slip that went home. And out of, all 400 students, I had 4 volunteer. And I did have some teachers, volunteer to help, but it wasn't all of them. And there's just no way that you can direct a concert for 7 grade levels and not have every teacher help and have it go smoothly. Like it has to be all hands on deck if it's going to be the entire school, because, you get 2 parents for every kid and you're talking about over 1,000 parents cycling through that auditorium. And it was too much. And then we didn't fit on stage and kids missed their cues, and parents who had taken time off work to come were upset that their kid had missed their cue, and that's understandable. And and they take their frustration and their anger out on the director. So it was tough. So I just, that was 11-year teacher, Crystal. You learn a lesson every year and you tuck that lesson in your back pocket, and I try to just like take it for what it is and just say like, okay, what went well and what needs to improve and how can I stay sane and in this job another year and do this. So that birthed the idea for how I'm doing things this year.
Totally. I think
much happier.
Yeah. And I'm really proud of you for doing that, because your community did tell you what they needed and what they were able to, help in what way they could help and be part of the music program. And
I don't want to say that and share that story like I'm looking for, sympathy. I just really feel compelled, like if somebody's listening to this and can't relate to the, you ask for help and your community has your back, like you are not alone, my friend.
Yeah.
One thing my principal does is don't quote me on this, but I'm fairly certain that principals can get 2 days out of the school year where teachers have to stay after school for an event. And so like back to school
that's
night's
what our
one
contract
of them.
is.
I believe so.
And
so back to school night's one of them, but then my principal requires the winter performance as the other one. And so I am lucky that I had teachers there who like, all right, I'm sending you your kids at this time. I will send a runner to come get them and then walk them to the auditorium, and I'll take it from there. But in that beginning time where it's, parents are filing in and whatnot, the students are with their teachers. And so I don't know if anyone struggles with that, or like they don't have people coming to like help supervise children because you don't want to supervise anybody because you're trying
can't.
to,
You can't be in
you're trying to
details.
do all the last minute details.
No.
And
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I run sound, I run, the in between music, like I do it all pretty much. And it's just not for the lack of people aren't willing to help, but just like it's so specific for what I need, and like I need it at a drop of a hat. And anyway.
Yeah.
And maybe 10-year teacher Mark is like, well, 5-year teacher Mark thought this way, but here's actually how it should be. I reserve the right to learn. But just getting that in the contract, or what I had done at one of my previous schools was the principal had hired the yard duties to come in. And so I had several different classrooms that I'd send all the children, and some teacher volunteers would, be in there with the yard duty who was,
And a movie on or something.
Yeah. And that's what I told teachers. I'm like, hey, if you need an activity, I will happily provide one. And I had one teacher be like, hey, can you do that? And so I put on a movie for her, and the students were in there with the movie that I had put on, and other teachers just kind of were able to do that. But yeah, so it's I don't know, like ask your principal what's available. If you're finding yourself just by yourself in a lack of support, like ask if what is that other day. If your contract allows 2 days, what is that other day being used for? And if it's not really being used for anything, can we try the winter performance or the spring performance or whatever it is?
Yeah. And I think that comes back to the expectations thing, and getting really clear with your admin on what do they expect and why.
Yeah.
And okay, so you can ask for this, but here is what it's going to take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they understand. It's just, the music teacher thing is such a different animal than the general education thing. It's a different job, and it has different, pressures and responsibilities. And since especially we work for a place that hasn't really, had that in a long time, a lot of principals just have no idea what that even looks like and how to support it.
But the music teacher can also get in front of a whole school auditorium, and get the attention of everybody.
Absolutely. Yes,
there's
it's
that
powerful.
Power,
Yeah.
And so it is completely different because no other teacher on campus can do that, because kids haven't had that teacher, But as the specialist, as a music teacher, like you can walk up there with your bells and ring them, and everyone's.
Oh my gosh!
They all know what that means.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we have our magic powers. It's pretty great.
Well, any other aha moments, guys, from our reflection time with the concert cycle?
I'm always humbled by how powerful it is for parents to see their kids on stage. And that's why it's important to keep doing it. Like, the kids are so proud when they come off stage. Like, no matter how the concert went, the kids are so proud of themselves for doing it. That after concert energy and adrenaline rush is like real. And they are so pumped about it. It's really important, and it's really memorable for them. I remember my concerts, and I will never forget. I think I was a 3rd-year teacher. This adorable little freckly-faced kindergarten girl sang a song dressed up in an angel costume and had a solo in the first verse, and spotlight on her, and her parents were just like sobbing in the audience, and they didn't know she was gonna do it. And they came up to me afterwards, and they were like, we had no idea she could sing. Nobody in this family has a musical bone in their body. And I'm like, well, she does nothing but sing. I don't know if you've heard her at home.
Wow.
So like really cool stuff,
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, that feels good, guys.
It does feel good. Anybody else?
Should we do a
We want to move on to a little
Hard
spiccato. Yeah.
But before we go to Spiccato, we just want to thank you guys, all you listeners, all you viewers. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you clicking, whichever you do, review and listen. We do appreciate it. We also do appreciate when you send us feedback via Facebook or YouTube. We do try to respond, but even more so, what would help us to grow this community out farther is if you go on iTunes and send us a review. That helps us with our publicity, making sure that the lights and the cameras are still rolling and whatnot, and also increases our community so that more people can be a part of it.
Yeah. Spiccato's coming after the break.
Like and subscribe.
I want to take a quick break and thank my husband, Bryan, who's been working behind the scenes producing these episodes every week on all of the platforms and on time. But you need to know that he is first a financial planner for Mission Trails Financial. Mission Trails Financial is a partner that seeks to guide clients in the journey to financial success. They believe that people need a financial advisor that aims to provide strategies for success. Mission Trails Financial helps people navigate investments, tax planning, and insurance. Imagine working with an advisor who isn't tied
tied to specific brands. Mission Trails Financial has a fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interests of their clients by providing independent, objective advice. Their mission is to help clients accomplish their financial goals. As Joe Vitale once said, a goal should scare you a little and excite you a lot. Do yourself a favor and set up a time to chat with Mission Trails Financial. Visit www.missiontrailsfinancial.com or call 619-419-0238 to schedule a call. If you're in the area, they'd love to have you come by the office. You'll be glad you did. We believe that leaning on professionals is how we get ahead. Check out the program notes for more information.
So, you guys ready for this?
And we have an episode where we played Chubby Bunny.
Today's Spiccato, cotton balls.
Cotton balls. Okay.
Yep. What do you think?
Ooh.
Every dollar store has cotton balls.
It's true.
I love the way cotton balls feel.
You don't? They're cottony.
I think it'd be really fun to make your own cloud. And then we could
float
sing,
like it.
Or I've been loving Cindy's.
I like to watch the clouds, fluffy, white, and billowy pillows making patterns outside my window. I like to watch the clouds and dream. So that's in volume 4. The melody is. And those are Cindy Gabler's words.
Yeah. Yes, and I have
Yes.
kids asking for that cloud song now.
It's lovely,
They
isn't it?
love it. Oh,
That's what we did with them at home. We had an indoor snowball fight. Oh, you're making it hit the microphone.
Can you hear it?
I can hear it. That's enough. I threw them at people.
I made a little cloud, and so for Halloween we do a literature parade. And the last 2 years I've been a cloud, and so I cut out a cloud and put a bunch of cotton balls. And then kids here, weren't you a cloud last year? I'm like, yes, this is my Halloween costume.
Yes, I have one.
Why do you have to have multiple?
I'm always magical music making from Hogwarts.
also,
Professor
guys,
Pridmore.
Halloween is on a Saturday this year.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, universe.
Yep.
That's right.
I feel like the way cotton balls can be torn and molded, I feel like you can do that a walk through, pretty much create a circle and have your kids in a circle and then tear
Gallery
up
walk.
the cotton however you wish, and then do a gallery walk and try to mimic it with your body as you walk
body.
around.
Very cool.
I like it. I was thinking iconic notation, write a little piece. You can break up your cotton ball in different ways, and then you could put lines on the ground if you wanted to, and just use them kind of as note heads.
Or you can use it as this is a whole note. So one cotton ball's 4 beats.
So you divide it up into 4 if you want to make quarter notes. That works.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it shows you. Yeah.
I like that you guys immediately went to clouds because I did not with my head. And so that makes a lot more sense, and I like it. I feel like I always go back to notation. But I'm always trying to get my kids to write stuff down, especially with the science integration we're doing lately. I'm trying to turn everything into compositions, with the scientific vocabulary in their
Nice.
compositions. So we did insect music. And so the kids used the different parts of the insect, like thorax, abdomen, 6 legs, that kind of stuff, to be the rhythm building blocks. So now I can do different types of clouds.
Nice.
Cirrus, cumulus,
Yes.
Interesting.
I love word chains. They're so my favorite.
They are
I
fabulous.
use them all the time.
Cool. Well done, friend. So do we have a round of the week? Round of the week. Do we want to use one of mine?
Yeah, let's use the
Great.
wintry one.
The wintry one?
Yeah, you had a wintry one,
The
didn't you?
Goodnight one?
Yeah, Goodnight. Yeah.
Goodnight. Okay. All right, so we do have a round of the week. This is Goodnight to You All, and I found it online. There's a couple of places that you can look if you are trying to scout out public domain music. CPDL.org, the Choral Public Domain Library.org, is a really good resource.
Nice.
There's lots of rounds in Latin on there that I used to use back in my Catholic school teacher days that were great for Mass. So this one, sometimes you have to pay a couple dollars to download files. This one, you could view the PDF for free. So this is from a 1855 songbook called the Exercise Songbook, containing songs and rounds with physical exercises designed for the use of primary schools by Asa Fitz. And this is Goodnight to you all. Let me get the right starting pitch here. Good night to you all, and sweet be your sleep. May angels around you their vigils keep. Good night, good night, good night, good night. And it says, this round should be sung by 3 children on the stage at the close of school or an exhibition, looking at the persons or scholars addressed and making appropriate gestures.
Appropriate gestures.
Appropriate gestures.
Okay.
So that's the physical exercise. Yeah, my brain went there too. All right, so shall we?
Yep.
Do you want to see it?
I got it.
You
I took a
got
little
it.
picture.
Oh, look at you. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. All right, so together, and then this is the 3-part round.
Okay.
So, you want to go?
Okay.
Okay.
We're a
Mark,
team.
You're by yourself.
Stick me in the middle for a second.
All right, let's do it together.
Let's do together. Okay.
And then
Then
1, 2, 3. You good with
1,
that?
2,
1,
3.
2, 3.
Yeah, that's
You
fine.
cool with that? Okay, here we go.
Yeah, sure.
Good night to you all, and sweet be your sleep. May angels around you their vigils keep. Good night, good night, good night, good night. Good night to you all, and sweet be your sleep. May angels around you their vigils keep. Good night, good night, good night, good night. May angels around you and sweet be your sleep. May angels around you their vigils keep. Good night, good night, good night, good night. Lovely.
good night, guys.
Crushed it.
I crushed it. Thanks for
No.
listening, you guys. You can follow me at Finny Vappa.
You can follow me. Oh my gosh, Mr. Keehmer.
You can follow me on either Twitter or Instagram at Mr. Seligman, MrSeligman.
And you can find me at Ms. Kumagai on Twitter. Also, can I do a shout out?
Yeah.
Please.
I just want to give a shout out to my cousin, Bo.
Yeah, bro.
Yay for
He
the
designed these
t-shirts we're wearing.
So you
Thanks,
can
Bo.
find him on Instagram at Cole Tanabe.
Yeah.
I think that's wrong.
We'll put it in the.
We'll
And
put
if you
it
are
in.
interested in purchasing a Chaotic Harmony t-shirt,
Please.
you can do that.
You can email us at
Chaotic Harmony Classroom at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Also, we'll be tweeting and also posting stuff on Instagram, so you can find us on those media platforms at CH Classroom. We're also on Facebook and also the YouTubes.
Thanks for listening, guys.
And MySpace.
Bye.
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 The Chaotic Harmony podcast is a joint project between Crystal Pridmore, Jonathan Seligman, Zoe Kumagai, and Marc Keehmer. You can find us online at chaoticharmonyclassroom.com. You can email us at chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Give us feedback about what you would like to hear in future episodes. We're on all the socials. Find us on facebook.com/chaoticharmonyclassroom. You can find us on Twitter at CHClassroom, Instagram at Chaotic Harmony Classroom, and you can even find our episodes on YouTube. Chaotic Harmony is the name of our channel. Special thanks to Bryan Pridmore for his help with production and equipment. www.pridmoria.com.
UTC is the best. I will fight you if you say anything otherwise.
I
It's
love
pretty up
UTC.
there.
It's great, but
pretty
it's
up there.
expensive.
Yeah, that's why it's the best. Do you remember my love
Okay.
language, Crystal?
Yeah, that's right. I was trying to remember.
Okay.
What did you say?
Fancy.
Fancy is my love language. That's right.
God.
Marc Keehmer. Heard in the music room.
Don't be a and get me something nice.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our podcast, Chaotic.
Dude.
Chaotic.
Chaotic. Hey, boys and girls, welcome to K Hard Harmony. Hey.
Oh, I'll tell you what, right here, I'll tell you what, we're going to talk about
Yeah, please do. So
Oh
how
my
many?
God.
You should be.
Yeah.
You should be like facing into it.
Yes. So we're gonna rotate
Here,
here.
no. Grab this.
Yeehaw!
Squeeze it. Do that.
Yeah.
And
Now
then,
the pop mic.
and then this is
This is why we can't do more than 3 episodes at a time.
I'm not good with this guy.